In this video for PokerNews.com, we get to watch my favorite video blogger, Rampage Poker, get in there and battle. 2550 no limit hold'em. He is a friend of PokerCoaching.com. He gets in there. He's trying his best. Let's see if we can find a way to win this pot.
Picking up ace queen offsuit in the low jack, it looks like aces. I raise it up to $150. I get the cutoff to make it $450. The button makes it $1,100. And look, all these players happy to battle, happy to get involved. The cutoff player is the one who 3-bet me last hand with 5-6. The button player just saw that and might be able to attack it. I am going to 5-bet.
So Rampage mentions here that there may be some leveling wars going on. The player to his left just 3-bet him with the 6-5 offsuit. That said, I don't think that's going to make a generic player on the button all of a sudden start 4-betting super wide. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. However, given the action, Rampage raises, gets 3-bet by the cutoff, gets 4-bet by the button. In this spot, you need to find some 5-bet bluffs. Which hands want a 5-bet bluff? Well, it turns out ace queen's about the best one because it blocks aces, it blocks queens, and it blocks ace king, all of which are a lot of your opponent's value hands. So this is a great hand to put in the 5-bet, and then if your opponent does 6-bet, you can let it go. Let's see what Rampage does.
Because this looks like aces to me at this point. I make it $3,000 to go from out of position.
It is worth noting we are playing very deep stacked. I don't know what very means, but probably like $50,000 or something. So we are super deep here.
Honestly, I think it's a little bit of a big sizing, but whatever. We're playing infinite behind. The button player is the only one that makes the call, the 4-better. So we're going to a flop. I have lots of money behind. My opponent covers me, and we're going to a flop of 10, 6, 3, 2 diamonds. Here, this is just not really the board I was looking for, but it should be a board that I like with all of the strong hands in my overall range, some would say. Yeah, I have aces, and why not have aces here? I make it $2,200.
I like this small bet in this situation because like Rampage says, he has aces, kings, maybe queens, and ace king, which has some good equity, plus maybe some suited ace X, which have either front door or back door flush draw. He should not have a whole lot of just total air balls here, and the air balls that he does have will have some equity. So I think you can pretty reasonably bet because you essentially have what will act as the nut advantage with aces and kings, whereas the button probably does not have so many of those because they probably would have 6-bet pre-flop.
Play it like aces, and my opponent makes a call. Non-believer, so that's not fun. The turn comes a 5, and I actually decide to slow down and check, although it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to. Checking here because I've got nothing and probably going to give up, but when my opponent checks back, it gives me some room to try to bluff with ace queen high.
So when the turn's the 5 of diamonds, I think you probably do just want to give up unless you have a diamond. If you have a diamond, you can reasonably keep betting because you still have decent equity, even if you bet and get called. But if you bet the turn and get called and you have ace queen, you're drawing to 3 outs or 6 outs or 0 outs or who knows how many, right? So I do like the idea of just giving up on the turn when the 5 of diamonds comes because your opponent's never going to fold an overpair, they're never going to fold a 10, and they're never going to fold a flush or a flush draw. They're just going to call you a lot, and that's really not what you want. So I like to give up.
River comes a board pairing 6, so it's a card that I guess should help me out if I were to ever slow play aces and kings this way by checking the turn. So I'm going to try to rep those hands because I am just in the mood to punt and bluff today. I make it $11,000 because I think I do that with all of my strongest hands. Overbetting the river here, probably over bluffing in this spot as well. But my opponent goes deep into the tank for multiple minutes, thinking things over, and then
Pause, Rampage. Okay, should we bluff this river? What are we trying to get the opponent to fold on this 6? So in this spot, we're trying to get the opponent to fold ace king if they have it, which would be great, and underpairs if they have it, which would be great. Will the opponent fold the underpair for an 11,000 bet? I don't know. I think we're going to have a pretty tough time getting the opponent to fold in this spot, assuming they are loose and splashy and battly once the turn goes check, check. Now, I do completely agree. Rampage would conceivably play aces this way. And if that is the case, then you need to find some bluffs. And in this spot, I told you before the flop that our bluffs are going to be ace-queen. So we have ace-queen and ace-king to potentially bluff. And I think it's reasonable, right? I mean, you might as well try. You probably don't win at the showdown. So good job. Get after it. Maybe you'll win. If you are going to bet, you probably do need to bet big, by the way, because you're trying to get the opponent to fold out decent made hands like pairs or ace-king, which beats all the bluffs.
Shows a jack. Oh.
All right, pause. Opponent shows a jack. They show a jack. It's an interesting play. What I want to know, before we move forward, is what is your opinion on showing cards in the middle of hands? Do you ever do it? What do you think it means when your opponents do it? Take a second and write in the comment section below what you think this means. I personally do not show cards in the middle of hands. I don't view it as like unethical or anything, but I also just don't do it. I don't know why I don't do it. Maybe I should do it more. I try to create a good, happy, casual environment, and unless I have a really, really good rapport with someone, I'm not trying to, I don't know. I guess I'm not trying to super own them and make them feel horrible about poker and their decision to play the game. I want people to like playing poker. That said, I have no problem with this, assuming it's well within the rules of the casino. And apparently at Resorts World where they're playing, it's well within the rules. So fine and good. The guy shows a jack. What's that even mean?
Oh my goodness. He doesn't have jacks, okay, because he would have snap called that really quickly. But him showing a jack means he might have ace jack. And I'm now went from bluffing the river to hoping I get called. But after a couple more minutes goes by, he ends up making the call.
Do you think Rampage wins or loses? Before we show you, one time I had a spot with like 7 people left in a World Poker Tour tournament where I bluffed on the river with pocket twos, and the opponent called with ace king high, and I won a huge pot. That was lucky. Let's see what happens here.
Show ace queen, and just like that, he actually has ace jack. He heroed me off with ace jack high, my ace queen high value bet on the river gets called. This obviously is a very, very bad bluff. If my opponent is really trying to call me with ace high, then he was gonna call it with every single pair, and I was never gonna get any of those to fold. And overall, I win a $30,000 pot because I have a horrible image and I'm not very good at this game.
Horrible image, not very good at this game. I actually discussed this concept a lot in my newest book, 100 Essential Tips to Master No Limit Hold'em. You can get it on Amazon, on dnbpoker.com, in major bookstores, and we discussed the idea of image. And if you have the image of Rampage Poker, you should probably chill out with the bluffing a little bit. Not a lot, but just a little bit. If you bluff just a little bit less, if you can control yourself just a little bit more, Rampage, you're gonna make a whole lot more money. The thing is, a lot of people, like Rampage, can't help themselves. They have to get in there, they have to punt. Check out the book. I think you'll enjoy it. I worked very, very hard to put it together for all of you out here, and it would be a big favor to me if you went and picked it up. We'll put links down there in the description. That's gonna be it for today. I hope you have a wonderful day. I hope all of your bluffs get called by worse hands, which is normally not what happens, but I hope all of your bluffs get called by worse hands. I hope you run like the sun. And you know, if you just run like Rampage, you'll usually be okay. However, I have some bad news about this session. Rampage actually ended up losing $100,000 instead. You can't win them all, I guess. If you want another hand where Rampage gets in there and battles, we have it lined up next for you. Enjoy.